deep in the vast blue ocean lies an incomparably magnificent palace, the residence of the Sea King who rules these waters. The Sea King is a dignified yet kind old man. His beard is longer than the longest strands of seaweed, hanging all the way down to his waist. He has 6 daughters, each as beautiful as a spirit of the sea, but his youngest daughter gathers all grace and brilliance into herself. She has thick, flowing hair like seaweed, eyes as bright as the bluest sapphire in the deep ocean, and skin as pale as a pearl just lifted from the water. Even more enchanting is her voice, the most beautiful sound beneath the sea. It is clearer than the gentle splash of waves at dawn, and more melodious than the echo of shells in the deep. Whenever she yangs, swimming fish stop to listen, and even the silent coral seems to sway softly with her song. The Little Mermaid follows her sisters every day, filled with curiosity about everything beneath the sea. Among the merfolk, there is an ancient rule. Mermaid princesses may not rise to the surface until they turn 15, when they are finally allowed to see the human world above the sea with their own eyes. The sisters are all older than the Little Mermaid, and whenever one of them reaches the age of 15, she rises to the surface to gaze upon that wondrous human world. When the sisters return, they always gather around the Little Mermaid and tell her stories about the surface world. They speak of white clouds floating in the sky like cotton candy, of ships sailing across the sea, trailing black smoke, of birds singing beautiful songs in the forests, and of human villages glowing brightly with lights at night. Each time she listens, the Little Mermaid's eyes grow wide, and she thinks to herself that the human world must be even more beautiful than the world beneath the sea. Because of this, the Little Mermaid longs every day to grow up quickly. At last, on a bright and sunny morning, she welcomed her 15th birthday. The Sea King personally arranged her long hair and said gently, "Go, my child, and see the world above the sea. But remember, humans are dangerous. Do not go near them lightly." The Little Mermaid nodded firmly, flicked her silver tail, and shot toward the surface like an arrow released from a bow. The moment her head broke through the surface of the water, she couldn't help holding her breath. The world above the sea was even more beautiful than her sisters had described. In the deep blue sky, several seagulls spread their wings and soared freely. In the distance, a huge ship was sailing across the sea, colorful flags hanging from its masts and snapping loudly in the wind. Curious, the Little Mermaid swam closer, quietly hiding not far from the ship and carefully observing everything on board. At that moment, a grand banquet was being held on the ship. Lights blazed brightly, and music filled the air. A young prince stood at the center of the deck, dressed in splendid formal attire. His golden hair shimmered in the light, and his smile was as warm as sunlight. The Little Mermaid's heart suddenly skipped a beat. She had never seen anyone so handsome, and her gaze was irresistibly drawn to the prince. She watched silently as he laughed, danced, and celebrated with the guests on board. Suddenly, dark clouds gathered in the sky, Fierce winds rose, and the once calm sea became violently turbulent. Towering waves, like enraged beasts, crashed relentlessly against the ship. The vessel began to rock violently. Tables and chairs on the deck were thrown over, and the guests screamed as they ran in panic. The Little Mermaid's heart leapt into her throat as she fixed her eyes on the prince. At that moment, a massive wave slammed into the ship, and a harsh cracking sound rang out. Seawater poured wildly into the cabin through the ruptured hull, and the ship began to sink slowly. Seeing this, the Little Mermaid did not hesitate. She swam straight toward the chaos, desperately searching through the confusion for the prince. Finally, she saw him clinging to a piece of wood, rising and falling among the waves. By then, the prince had already lost consciousness. The Little Mermaid rushed to his side, used all her strength to lift him above the water, and flicked her tail, carrying him toward the shore. By the time dawn was approaching, the Little Mermaid finally brought the prince to the beach. She gently laid him on the soft sand and looked at his pale face, unable to resist reaching out and lightly touching his cheek. Just then, the sound of footsteps came from afar. The Little Mermaid quickly hid behind the rocks. She saw a young woman dressed in a nun's habit walk over. The woman discovered the prince on the beach, cried out in surprise, and immediately sent her attendants to fetch a doctor. With the doctor's help, the prince slowly opened his eyes. The first person he saw was the nun, and his eyes were filled with gratitude. Believing that she had saved him, the prince gave her a weak smile. Watching all of this from a distance, the Little Mermaid felt a sharp pain in her heart, as if it had been pierced by a needle. How she longed to rush out and tell the prince that it was she who had saved him. But she knew that the Sea King forbade her from approaching humans. Only after the prince had left did the Little Mermaid, full of reluctance, swim back into the depths of the sea. After returning to the underwater palace, the Little Mermaid became quiet and withdrawn. Every day, she hid in her small garden, staring blankly in the direction of the sea's surface. Her mind kept replaying the prince's warm smile, filling her heart with sudden joy. Yet when she thought of the gentle look the prince gave the nun at the moment he was rescued, her heart was again overwhelmed with longing and loss. At that time, how desperately the Little Mermaid wished she could become human and be with the prince. Her sisters noticed what was troubling her and came to comfort her one after another. But the Little Mermaid said nothing and only cried non-stop. Her tears fell onto the sand of the seafloor and turned into transparent pearls. From that day on, the sisters never again saw a smile on the Little Mermaid's face. Later, the Little Mermaid could no longer hold it in and finally confided her feelings to her beloved grandmother. After listening, the grandmother sighed helplessly and said, "My child, humans are different from us merfolk. Their lives are very short, while we merfolk can live for 300 years. Humans have souls, but we do not. After we die, we only turn into sea foam. If you wish to become human, you must pay an enormous price." With a resolute expression, the Little Mermaid said to her grandmother, "I am willing to pay any price." Hearing this, the grandmother shook her head and told her, "In the deepest part of the sea lives a sea witch. She can help you fulfill your wish, but her conditions are always cruel. If you truly intend to go, you must think it through carefully." At this moment, the Little Mermaid hesitated no longer. After saying goodbye to her grandmother, she swam alone toward the deepest part of the ocean. In the depths of the sea, there was no sunlight. The surrounding water was icy cold, and from time to time, glowing jellyfish drifted by, bringing faint traces of light. Gathering her courage, the Little Mermaid continued forward. At last, in front of a cave piled high with white bones, she saw the Sea Witch. A sinister smile hung on the Sea Witch's lips, and behind her, a cauldron bubbled with green foam, releasing a sharp, pungent odor. When she saw the Little Mermaid arrive, the Sea Witch spoke. "I know what you want. You want to become human and go to see that prince. I can help you, but you must give me your voice, because your voice is the most precious thing you have. If you agree to my condition, I will give you a potion. After you drink it, your tail will turn into human legs, but every step you take will feel like walking on the edge of a knife. If the prince ultimately marries someone else, you will turn into sea foam on the morning after his wedding and disappear completely from this world." Hearing the Sea Witch's terms, the Little Mermaid could not help but tremble. But when she thought of the prince, she still nodded. The Sea Witch smiled in satisfaction, stretched out her withered hand, and seized the Little Mermaid by the throat. The Little Mermaid felt her voice fading away, bit by bit, until she could no longer make a sound. Then the Sea Witch handed her a bottle of green potion. The Little Mermaid took it without hesitation, turned around, and swam toward the surface of the sea. Early the next morning, the Little Mermaid swam to the shore where the prince was staying and drank the potion without hesitation. Intense pain instantly swept over her. She felt her fish tail being torn apart, slowly transforming into two slender legs. She collapsed onto the beach, her entire body trembling with pain. Just then, the prince happened to pass by. He saw the Little Mermaid lying on the sand and was deeply captivated by her beauty. The Little Mermaid wanted to greet the prince, but no sound came out, so she could only look at him with her clear, expressive eyes. The prince then brought the Little Mermaid back to the palace, dressed her in splendid clothes, and gave her a name, Princess Silent. From that day on, the Little Mermaid stayed by the prince's side every day. She followed him as she learned the human language and learned to walk on two legs. But with every step she took, it felt as though she were walking on the edge of a knife. The pain made cold sweat break out on her forehead. Yet she never complained, because as long as she could see the prince's smile, she felt everything was worth it. She even danced for the prince. Her movements were as light as a butterfly's, and each time the prince watched in complete fascination, praising her as the most beautiful dancer in the world. The Little Mermaid believed that such days would last forever. She even imagined that the prince would fall in love with her and stay with her for the rest of their lives. But what she did not know was that the prince had always remembered the nun who had saved him on the beach. One day, the prince told the Little Mermaid that his father had arranged a marriage for him and that the bride would be a princess from a neighboring kingdom. Although the prince still longed for the nun who had rescued him on the shore, he could only accept the arrangement for the sake of the kingdom. The little mermaid's heart sank instantly. She wanted to tell the prince that she was the one who had saved him, but she could not make a sound. She could only watch helplessly as the prince walked away. The prince soon met the princess, and by coincidence, she was the very nun who had rescued him on the beach that day. As a result, the two quickly fell deeply in love. The king held a grand engagement ceremony for them. The palace was filled with decorations and laughter. Yet, the little mermaid alone hid in a corner, silently shedding tears. She knew that before long, on the morning after the prince and princess's wedding, she would turn into foam and disappear completely. That night, the Little Mermaid's sisters suddenly appeared at her window. Their hair had all been cut short, and their eyes were filled with sorrow. They handed her a sharp dagger and told her, "We traded our hair to the sea witch for this dagger. If, on the night before the wedding, you use this dagger to stab the prince's heart and let his blood drip onto your legs will turn back into a fishtail, and you can return to the sea and live out the rest of your 300 years." With a conflicted expression, the little mermaid took the dagger and, filled with anguish, went to the prince's room. She looked at the prince sleeping soundly, a look of happiness still on his face. She recalled the moment she saved him, remembered every moment they had spent together, and thought of his gentle gaze. She could not bring herself to harm the one she loved most. The little mermaid gripped the dagger tightly, her tears falling onto its blade, yet she could not bring herself to strike. Dawn slowly arrived, and the sky in the east began to pale. The little mermaid took one last look at the prince, gently kissed him on the forehead, then turned and ran out of the palace toward the sea. By then, her legs were already numb with pain, but she forced herself to keep running until she reached the shore. At that moment, the wedding bells of the prince and princess began to ring, their clear chimes echoing throughout the entire city. In despair, the little mermaid stepped into the sea and threw the dagger into the water. The sea water gradually rose past her knees, then past her waist. She felt her body becoming lighter and more transparent. Sunlight shimmered across the surface of the sea as her body slowly dissolved into countless crystal-like bubbles, rising and falling with the waves and drifting upward toward the sky. Under the sunlight, the bubbles shimmered with iridescent colors, like tiny stars. Just as the little mermaid thought she was about to disappear completely, she felt a warm force surround her. A beautiful angel appeared before her and said with a gentle smile, "Because of your kindness and sacrifice, you have been granted the chance to gain a soul. As long as you continue to do good and help those in need, after 300 years, you will ascend to heaven and gain eternal life." The little mermaid nodded to the angel and transformed into a soft beam of light, flying up toward the sky.